Let's talk about the Indigo children and the Golden Child. The Indigo children and the Golden Child. So you had the movie The Golden Child, where all this time we were thinking it was a boy, it's actually a girl. So the Golden Child points to this age that we're in, the crossing over into what? The divine feminine. It was the birth of this age that we're in now. This is the higher dimensional meaning of the Golden Child movie with Eddie Murphy. Yeah, that wasn't a boy. The little kid that was in the movie, like moving all the objects and doing all kinds of psychokinesis and telekinesis, etc. The Golden Child, it was actually a girl. Coming from where? The East. Coming from where? The dragon. Remember? Ties into the video about the dragon. This does. But we're talking about the transmutation from the Indigo child to the Golden Child. The whole idea of Indigo children, those who are mainly out of the 1980s, born around that time frame, and those who are also associated with having what is called ADHD, right? The attention deficit hyperactive disorder, etc., or whatever, however the acronym is spelled out, but it's still an attention deficit. So it's commenting on anybody who has this disconnect between their inner world and the world around them. And a lot of what is called indigo children tend to have this more than others. They tend to live more introspectively, but they tend to be child prodigies at particular sets of whatever their crafts are. This was also a very telling sign. And they say that this is the result of the aftermath that between the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project, when they were experimenting with time and space and tearing fabrics in the atmosphere that allow primordial archonic energies to come in to this physical dimensional plane right here in 3D from whatever other dimension it was coming from. But that traveling back and forth in time and wanting to teleport objects and see if you can go back into the past, all of this was tearing a fabric in the middle of space so that those from the past and the future could cross over. This is also what is alleged to be associated with CERN and all types of high level machinery that involves a high level of power, a high level of laser, anything that's dealing with the atoms, any kind of atomic manipulations whatsoever can be a breaking in of time and space, and you could get entities that cross over back and forth. It's almost like astral traveling while you're wide awake, like wide awake though, would be the best way I could express it in its physicality, how we would sense it or perceive it. With these indigo children, what the fear was that they would be revolutionaries. You had people who slipped through the cracks of other times, but not really, because anybody born after the 60s, early to late 60s, you take a person like Michael Jackson, he was a sign that indigo children were coming, or whatever this archonic energy was. And when we say archonic, we're not like talking reptilian. We really mean primordial. Maybe I should say primordial, more godlike, more higher level than this dimension type of energy and expression. Your Beethovens, your Mozarts, you know what I mean. High levels of genius. Michael Jackson was definitely one as a child. And they probably saw that one day he would rebel against the system or rebel against whatever archons or primordial levels of godhood were above him, right? Because you did have him speaking out, right? And you did have him kind of going out like a martyr, right? Right. So this was already telling signs. And they were also looking for the black Messiah. See, they were really looking for Messiah seeds. They were, ever since the beginning of things, Pharaoh was having all the babies killed to make sure no Moses Savior Messiah type figure was coming. He was trying to prevent a Messiah seed from coming, but eventually got overthrown by indigo energy. Then you had your Herods of the world later on that's trying to have a whole bunch of babies killed that are males so that the Christ isn't born. But Jesus ended up being born anyway in that time, and Herod eventually dies out, right? But where were they hiding until Herod died? The angel told Joseph to take his family and go to Egypt. You're boxed in. There's no way out of how things are pre-manifested to go. But all of the freestyling and the control within that paradigm, within that overarching omniscient framework, you get a chance to create your own universe right in the middle of the omniverse. This is what indigo children come on this planet instinctively knowing and embodying. And this becomes a threat to other systems of archonic energy that predate them. So they was like, you can't take our regime away from us. We know that they will. They started naming the generations. X generation, this generation Y, generation Z. Well, let's call them millennials. Millennial A, millennial B. Combing through history trying to find them. They started right from 1945, right until we started to really start using technology to delve into the unknown and start tearing at the molecular structure of reality. Soon as we started doing that in the 40s and late 40s, right then they were okay, we got to classify these folks. Baby boomers, this group, baby boomers A, baby boomers B. They looking for the golden child. You understand? And they keep making the mistake because they don't understand these archons, even though they have the information in front of them too. They don't understand the difference. They can't intuitively discern the difference between a Messiah seed and the indigo seed. Yeah, they can read the words and like know what to tell you in terms of what the correct answer is, but they can't spiritually embody this reality. So they still keep looking for Moseses when it's really the Joshuas that are going to overthrow them. They're still looking for Jesus's when it was really Peter in Gethsemane who was ready to chop your head off. They're still looking for, you know what I mean? They're still looking for other types of leaders who represent more of the dove-like energy on the right-hand path. Nexus, I think it was that realm called. But they're not seeing the black raven. They don't see the other balance of God. They see God's right hand. They keep looking for that and trying to snuff that out, but they don't see God's left hand. They think the left hand is actually the devil. No, the idea of God still has two arms. And if you see any gods with multiple arms, that's just how fast his arms move. Shout out to Brother Sanchez. He was talking about that in a video about Bruce Lee doing the hand motions. Hitting you with the Shiva, the ability to create and destroy, just moving their hands so fast. I bet you that kind of cinematography could have been applied to Muhammad Ali's punches because his hands were fast enough. Said he allegedly used to catch flies. You know how fast you got to be to catch flies? That's unreal. That means you're faster than the force of the wind that you're approaching the object with, and the object is lighter. You got to be supernaturally fast. And he had a supernatural gift too, sniffing out for indigo children all across time and history. But they're really looking for the golden child because the golden child brings in the final age. That's what they call the heaven on earth, the hereafter, paradise, eternal life. The golden child is the one who brings this in. And they know any of us can be it. Anybody that's in their 30s and 40s, they sniffing us out really, really. They even tried to create versions of us just to like, oh, well, we would create a golden child figure. Maybe we can bring the golden child out. All right, let's give him Tupac. All right, let's give him this guy. Let's give him that guy. Okay, let's give him a black president. We gonna sniff out this golden child. We gonna find him. We gonna find he or she, right? Because they're looking for the golden child, but they know that the highest, the most likely place that the golden child would be discovered is among the pack of indigos who actually all roll solo. If we're going on if we're going according to a module of hierarchy using those Greek terminologies, you understand, alpha, beta, and all of that, these folks would actually be sigmas. And we're not talking fraternity talk, but we're talking about according to the pyramid of like human interaction, where you got the alpha dog, the alpha that's like trying to rule the pack, top of the pyramid versus, what's all the way at the bottom. That's what we mean here. In that illustration, though, The golden child doesn't represent anybody inside the pyramid. The golden child is actually the eye that's above the pyramid. Dollar bill, the one that can respond and rule over the hierarchy without being a part of the hierarchy, is separate. It's sigma. The symbol for sigma is like, that weird looking E. It's called the standard deviation. That's what it's called. The standard deviation. It's like a mathematical term also, or can be used mathematically. But why this is important is because those indigo children who have the potential of transmuting more into a golden child have sigma energy. They're not alphas. They're not alphas. They're the people who alphas look up to. Alphas got betas to run, right? And all of that kind of stuff. But the sigmas don't exist inside of a hierarchy. They like to do their own thing. They live inside their own world. The world within them is always bigger and more important than the world around them, to us. Because I'm one of the indigo children too. All the way down to my gematria, all the way down to my native chart. I'm an indigo child's indigo child. This is me expressing the pride of being that, of playing that particular role in human history. I'm glad. I'm honored. I feel like it's a privilege for me to be put in this spot where I can represent that embodiment of people. Because I was under what? I was under Messiah Seed programming, and many times I sacrificed myself over, even when it was for nothing. And I realized that this was a trick and a trap. Yeah, it's good to be compassionate and care about people, but to be completely selfless when you're supposed to self-preserve, there you have a conflict, right? Can't throw yourself away. How are you going to serve others if you neglect yourself? There'll be no self left to serve others, right? So you have to be what? Self-serving. You got to serve yourself. Indigo children intuitively know this and cannot get out of the embodiment of this. And they were like, nah, the golden child is coming from them. And they'll look throughout any society. Right now, you don't have too many agents having to look now because of social media. The whole planet is online, even other galaxies probably. Everybody's online. I mean, everybody. So with that, all you got to do is just look into the quanta space or whatever kind of machine or eye or face or skull, whatever's taking all of this in, like all the information in the world, they could just look in that and basically sniff out which one of us is who. But they're also under certain, which makes it weird, they're under certain agreements that they're not to even touch the golden child if they suspect that is a golden child. Speaking from personal experience as one who could be potentially a golden child, it doesn't mean that these folks are perfect. It doesn't mean that these folks don't cuss and drink and smoke. It don't got nothing to do with these people's behaviors in terms of what they do. Nah, it's about how they do what they do. And if you see some kind of supernatural gift in them that is like susceptible to like pale horse energy or white horse energy, let me rephrase, which is more of a psychological term, really having a lot to do with a person having an onset of rage and just uncontrollable chaotic expression. This can be transmuted to be very positive, though. You'll get this in your musicians, anybody who can express that in a very loving way. These were indigo children traits, and they didn't want to have any more hippies. Now they're trying to bring, not trying to bring, they brought it back successfully. They had enough like high level famous weed rappers for it to be, the average, there's dispensaries everywhere now. With this, they still want to see though, if they could find this golden child. Like, well, hold on, let's keep rewinding the clock. So really, on how can I say this? On a societal level, they keep yanking the clock back and forth. 1960s, 1990s, 1960s, 1990s. That's the only real time that we really in terms of like the direction of the information in the text. They still trying to find these not Messiah seeds. They're trying to find the golden child for real. You know, they're still looking for saviors and all of that. And even though they know that that's not who they're supposed to be looking for, they'll be off the path. They're already pre-programmed to look for them. Just like the Indigo children are already pre-programmed to do what they do. Just like the Rainbow children are pre-programmed to do what they do. The Blu-ray children are pre-programmed to do what they do. All of this while you having free will, though, and individuality is just a categorization of how you're already preset and pre-wired to go. All of this stuff is organized. What do they think we mean when we say the order of God, when they say God is not the author of confusion? But they want to limit his order to very small sections of manuscript. And this is a disservice to even approaching the definition of what God is. You'd have to be transmuting everything, every piece of information just for starters. And none of us can get a grip on all the information it is. So we can't even really tackle the approaching of the definition of God. But the golden child will embody it. The golden child is the closest thing you're going to get to dark energy being formed into a being, a person. The primordial perfected one. It's not like a one person type of thing, but it's more of an energy, the perfected ones. I've seen like 3 people on this planet who I believe to have golden souls. I know they're golden children. They untouched. Some of them live to be past 100. And by the time they laid it down, they look like they might have been in their 60s, maybe. So and these golden children, they're bringing magic with them. For them, magic is just reflex. For them, magic is regular order of business. They do everything by magic. And I'm talking about real mental transmutation. They don't really have to use anything because their magic exists in everything they do. This would be the kid that could sit there and draw for hours and hours and hours and hours, or the kid who's proficient at a musical instrument or proficient at some kind of athletic gift, and they just have this obsessive dedication to the point where it's taking care of things in their life that they thought they never would be able to handle. Like, because they're so good at this, you know what I mean? Because they're so good at this particular gift, it makes everything over here work smooth. Because they're so dedicated in their gift and so obsessed with getting better, it's keeping them out of a lot of trouble that they probably wouldn't have had a high enough social IQ to get themselves out of if they were approached by the circumstance. Some temptations they were kept away from lead us not into temptation. Well, you can't be led away from temptation if you're not led into some kind of innovation, right? You can't be led into temptation if you're already pre-led into inspiration, innovation. Golden children talk. Indigo children expression. So you got these primordial archonic energies now that will represent, for sake of analogy, the right hand side, or would represent the angels versus the demons, whatever kind of, I don't want to make either side look good or bad, but whatever you want to use to represent positive and negative, you can apply your own terminology to that. But let's just say, in a nutshell, the bad guys got here first. The bad guys got here first. And it's the job of the bad guys to try to prevent the good guys from getting here. Because the bad guys know that the good guys are here now. And the bad guys are coming in throughout all time and space. This is how this is supposed to be playing out. And so they keep, because time is a circle, so they keep trying to make the circle spin faster and faster and faster. But these people still able to block. They can't stop it from swimming to the egg and cracking the egg. But they're trying to spin that egg as fast as they could possibly spin that egg. Woo, turn it up. Turn that thing up. Pedal to the metal. Tires smoking. But still, the creature still, the entity still, the indigo energy still, the dark energy is still on the other side of that, laughing at them. Like, you can't keep me out of this. You guys are going to mess around and make humans extinct if we let you guys go on like this and we don't send any other opposing energies that are stronger than you here. Your time been up. How much of their blood are you going to infuse yourselves with? You can't keep this up for 500 years or 1,000 years, 2,000 years. Not without mastering that meditation. And if you're really doing things that they allege you of doing, you won't be able to bring your vibration into the right kind of space to be able to transcend death. You can't. Even if you erase guilt. And all of that is alleged. All of that is alleged, all right? But I just gotta say, certain things at certain times just to make sure that people really understand that we're not just talking. This has an aim. So if you are great at something, good at something, dedicated to something, you could do it all day. You could do it for free. You just might be an indigo child. And if you get a control on that, you will transmute into a golden child. I know you grown. But you can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you be likened unto a what? Little child. Children live according to their heart. Many parts of their brain is still asleep in all receiving mode. You living from the heart space. Your mind is the screen, the filter. You want the right stuff to get into the heart. Let the mind do its filtering. So, that's it in a nutshell about what the aim of the investigation of indigo children is about. And again, this is just according to like different levels of research, and we putting things together, and you already know over here is reaching is teaching. So it is what it is with that. Again, it is Super T Sigma with Sigma Program, and I thank you for your time and attention. Definitely, like I said, reaching is teaching, right? So you guys continue to vibrate high. Peace.